If it isn't in your hands, it shouldn't be in your mind. I feel like this is a quote that should resonate with a lot of people and should be applied to our daily life. As I see it, a lot of us are trapped within our expectations of what we want to occur, as well as, things that aren't within our control. Like if you can only think about it, then it's probably not worth thought. And that same type of philosophy. Like saying that, you know, all this over stress about what we're doing and like how things will occur and how people are going to interact or how people feel or how we're going to do something or how anything that breeds anxiety. That's not a grandiose thing and mostly a matter of how we view a situation. I think that overzealous overthinking and overthought is not worth anything more than the thought itself. So, I mean, traversing through life thinking that, you have control is definitely a more secure feeling. It's definitely a more comforting thing to have to think that you are the one in control of what you're experiencing. However, I realize that, you know, a part of that relinquishing of control or letting go is comfort. Not like the same kind of comfort, but a comfort in realizing that the only thing you have control over is yourself. And in controlling yourself, you can, better put yourself in the scenarios where you don't need to overthink. And I realize that a lot of overthought is, a projection of our internal dismay. So the more we are able to control ourselves and how we think and how we view things, the more suited we will be to stop overthinking overall. It's because we attempt to see it in a sort of roundabout way that it becomes seen. Things aren't inherently a certain way unless we put that connotation on ourselves. And I feel like most of the time with like overthoughts, I said like if it's not in your hands, it shouldn't be in your head. Like a lot of times we place our hand or our ego into situations and we place ourselves in part of our identity in situations and sort of judge our own character based off of how those situations occur. Like maybe how I don't know, how you're viewed by two other people, like, or how other people perceive a situation of yours, or how something like that inherently has nothing to do with you. But we're placing a lot of our value in who we are into things that aren't us. As within, so without, but a lot of things are without, so why are we taking it within? People are entitled to how they feel, and things aren't necessarily always going to be tailored and suited for us. But that doesn't mean that the world is against us. That doesn't mean that we should overthink it. Overzealous worrying about a situation that's impending and has no way of not happening is worth nothing. All that time we spend worrying and getting ourselves caught up in a situation that doesn't necessarily need our hands in it, we're losing ample time at which to, do something else, funnel our energy into something more productive for who we are. We're losing a lot of the day in expectation of the night. Like we're so afraid of this circumstance that we're losing our present moment in order to, somewhat mitigate that or try to make ourselves comfortable with a situation that has yet to even occur. A lot of us have anxiety, and that's definitely a human thing. Like it's gonna happen regardless. But overthinking and over worrying about situations that we can't do anything about, that's where it gets a little detrimental. I realize that I can say this, and from my experience, I definitely overthink more than I underthink or let go. However, that doesn't mean that there isn't a right way to go about things. I know that overthinking is sometimes a comforting thing. Sometimes it's easy to overthink, and sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes it's easy to think into the future and try to guess what's going to happen and then try to prepare yourself for every scenario mentally. But you're going to be that same person regardless of the situation. You're just going to be, someone who's thought about it beforehand, but you're still going to be that person in that situation. And, no amount of overthinking is going to change who you are for that situation. When met with a new stimulus, you're not going to be tailored to that situation because you haven't actually experienced it. One can think ahead of time and, like practice a stoic philosophy where like you're thinking of all the negative things that can happen throughout your day, and all of a sudden you have no anxiety about it because you've already thought about all of the ways at which it could go negative. But like if you imagine someone in your leg with a bat, it's not gonna hurt any less when you actually get hit. So I think it's the same for worrying and overthinking. Like there's no things to gain in overthinking about stuff that we have no control over. Now you can overthink about, how you're gonna go with the situation as long as you have control in it. But if it's not within your hands, we have to take it outside of our minds.